Hello, and welcome to the webinar on newcomers. Today, we're focusing on a case study for the Income Tax Assistance Volunteer Program. This webinar will show volunteers how to file a tax return for a newcomer couple with refugee status. By the end of this workshop, you'll have a better understanding of how to prepare a newcomer's tax returns and how to enter the information into the UFile CVITP software. Let's review our case study. Here's the background information for Jeet Man and his wife, Mia Man, including their social insurance numbers and dates of birth. They moved to Quebec, Canada from Indonesia on November 1st, 2023. They both have refugee status and work permits. They have been living with an acquaintance. In 2023, Jeet's net income from all sources outside of Canada was equivalent to 3,000 Canadian dollars. He earned this income as a teacher in Indonesia. Jeet also earned employment income from two employers after his arrival in Canada, Marché Soleil and Tutora Pro. He therefore provided two T4 tax slips and two Relevé 1 tax slips. Mia's net income from all sources earned outside of Canada was equivalent to 1,600 Canadian dollars. She worked at the same school as Jeet in Indonesia. Mia did not earn any income in Canada. Jeet will claim the Solidarity Tax Credit for the family. To avoid repetition in the identification section, we will begin the case study at the Canada Revenue Agency questions page. For more information, we recommend you visit the ITAVP Learning Guide and review the topic Installing the Tax Software and its Functions and Tax Considerations for Specific Situations. In the Information About You section, enter Jeet Man's language of choice. This will determine the language that will be used to prepare and submit the tax returns to the CRA and Revenue Quebec. This will also allow Jeet to receive communications from the CRA in the language of his choice. Next, answer yes to the question, are you filing an income tax return with the CRA for the very first time? And no to the three questions that follow, and the Canadian citizenship question for Elections Canada. Finally, as this is Jeet's first federal tax return, we have selected not to receive CRA email notifications. Newcomers typically don't have my account because it's their first time filing. Next, let's go to the Revenue Quebec questions section for Jeet. Answer yes to the question, is this the first year that you are filing a Quebec tax return? Answer no to the question, are you eligible for the Quebec amount for a person living alone? Because Jeet lives with his spouse, Mia. Answer no to the question, do you wish to request an accelerated refund on your Quebec return? Answer no to the question, did you receive or dispose of virtual currency? Answer yes to the question, do you wish to apply for the Quebec Solidarity Tax Credit? Since Jeet will be making the claim. For the Quebec Tax Shield, we recommend you always answer yes, family head to claim, to the question, if eligible, do you wish to claim the Quebec Tax Shield? And we recommend you always select Let Revenue Quebec Calculate as the desired method of calculation. For more information on the eligibility requirements for this credit, refer to the ITAVP Learning Guide and review the Tax Shield topic in the Tax Guide for Volunteers. For this case study, select Notifications by text message and email and answer no to the last question in this section, since Jeet does not wish to receive his notices online. Click Next to continue. We are now in the section for Quebec prescription drug insurance information. U-File asks to specify the situation that applies to the individual for the purpose of the Quebec prescription drug insurance premium. Newcomers are generally covered by the Quebec prescription drug insurance plan 3 months after settling in Quebec. They do not have to pay a premium for the months they were not covered. Since Jeet arrived in Canada on November 1st, 2023, his 3 month period did not end in 2023. He is therefore exempt for the whole year. Select option 4, Exceptions, Quebec Prescription Drug Insurance Plan, all year from the drop-down menu, and answer no to the question, do you wish to file a joint Schedule K? Note that it is important to ask individuals if they want to file a joint Schedule K. It is their choice to make. Then, specify the reason why Jeet is exempt from paying the premium in 2023. Select the last exception, Other, Immigrant, Emigrant. Click Next. We will now complete Schedule D, Quebec Solidarity Tax Credit. Let's start by answering the questions in Part A, Information about you. Answer no to the question, throughout the year 2023, did you live in a dwelling, either alone or only with one or more people under 18? Because Jeet lived with his partner. Answer yes to the question, is the address of your principal residence on December 31st, 2023, the same as the one in your tax return? Answer no to the question, is your principal residence located in a northern village? Next, since the couple was staying with an acquaintance, select the option neither tenant nor owner for the question, were you or your spouse tenants or owners on December 31st, 2023? Now, let's answer the questions in Part B, Information about your spouse. Since Jeet had a spouse and was living with her on December 31st, answer yes to the first and second questions. Then, answer no to the last question about residences located in a northern village. For more information, refer to the Tax Guide for Volunteers section of the ITAVP Learning Guide. Click Next. We are now at the Electronic Filing e-file page. The answers to the first 3 questions are in order: no, yes if eligible, and no. For the last question, newcomers generally cannot submit their first Quebec tax return electronically. Therefore, answer no, I will mail it in. For more information, refer to the page What to Consider for Newcomers in the ITAVP Learning Guide. We won't be looking at how to use CRA's Autofill My Return and Revenue Quebec's tax data download services. You'll find more information on these in the CRA and Revenue Quebec Electronic Services section of the Learning Guide. Click Next twice to continue. We are now at the interview setup. This is where we select the most common types of income, deductions, and tax credits that may apply to a client's tax situation. To make it easier to navigate the software, untick the pre-selected topics on the interview page that you don't need. First, in the Specific Situations section, tick the box next to Immigrant, Emigrant, Non-resident. Next, specify the type of income. In this case, Jeet received 2 employment slips, one issued by Marché Soleil and the other issued by Tutora Pro. To reflect this income, tick the Employment Income and Employment Insurance Benefits box in the Employment and Other Benefits section. Click Next. In the Immigrant, Emigrant, Non-resident, or Factual Resident section, click the plus sign next to You immigrated to Canada in 2023. The page Immigration to Canada will appear. Enter November 1st, 2023 as Jeet's date of entry. It is difficult to determine the amount of net income earned at this moment, so leave the second field blank. UFile will automatically fill in the necessary fields once we enter the relevant data, unless the newcomer earned no income in Canada. Choose the option New Resident of Canada to specify the reason for the arrival. Answer the mandatory questions marked by a red asterisk. Select the option Income from Employment in Canada to specify the Canadian sourced income, excluding Part 13 income, earned when Jeet was not a resident of Canada. Enter $0 as the amount. Then we need to enter information about foreign sourced income earned while Jeet was not a resident of Canada. Enter Indonesia as the name of country and select the option Net Employment Income from the drop-down menu. Then enter $3,000 as the income earned by Jeet prior to his arrival in Canada. Click Next. We are now in the T4 and Employment Income section. In the T4 and T4E box, click the plus sign next to T4 and Relevé 1 Income Earned in Quebec with QPP contributions. Enter the information from the first T4 slip into the corresponding fields. For example, the amounts in box 14 of the T4 slip and box A of the Relevé 1 slip, $5,987, are entered in matching fields of the software. To find out more about how to enter the information from the slips, refer to the ITAVP Learning Guide and review the sections Installing the Tax Software and its Functions and Tax Guide for Volunteers. Once we have entered the information from the first slips, enter information from the second T4 and Relevé 1 slips by selecting T4 and Employment from the left side menu. To add the tax slips from the second employer, click the plus sign next to T4 and Relevé 1 Income Earned in Quebec with QPP Contributions box. As with the first employer, enter the information for the second T4 and Relevé 1 slips. Repeat these steps as necessary. Once done, Jeet's interview is complete. We are now ready to add Mia's information. Click the plus sign next to Add Spouse. For demonstration purposes, we have already completed the identification sections and CRA questions as we did for Jeet. In the Revenue Quebec questions section, answer yes to the question, is it the first year that you are filing a Quebec tax return? Answer no to the question about the accelerated refund. Answer no to the question, did you receive or dispose of virtual currency? Answer no to the question about the solidarity tax credit. Only one person can claim it per couple. And for this case study, select notifications by text message and email, and no to the second question, since Mia does not wish to receive her notices online. Click Next. We are now in the Quebec Prescription Drug Insurance Information section. Since Mia's situation is similar to Jeet's, answer the questions the way we did for him. Click Next. We are now at the e-file section. The answers for the first three questions are the same as before. No, yes if eligible, and no. Click Next twice. We are now at the interview setup. Repeat the same steps to enter information about Mia's arrival in Canada. First, untick all boxes since Mia did not earn Canadian income. Then, in the specific situation section, tick the option next to immigrant, emigrant, non-resident taxpayer. Click Next. In the immigrant, emigrant, non-resident section, click the plus sign next to You immigrated to Canada in 2023. The Immigration to Canada page will display automatically. Enter November 1st, 2023 as Mia's date of entry. She didn't earn any income since her arrival. Then select the option New Resident of Canada. Answer the two other mandatory questions. And for the first question, choose income earned from employment in Canada and enter $0. For the second, U-File asks for income that Mia might have earned while not living in Canada under Part 13 Canadian income plus foreign sourced income. For the country, enter Indonesia. Then select net employment income and enter $1,600. Mia's interview is now complete. We are ready to review the results. Click tab 3, Review. A summary shows Jeet will receive refunds. Mia will not receive a refund nor have amounts owing. Make sure to read the messages at the bottom of the screen and note any errors, warnings, or tips. Now let's click tab 4, Tax Return. Here, you can view the detailed summaries of the federal income tax return, the Quebec income tax return, the schedules, and the worksheets that U-File has completed for each person. Select Jeet's profile to see the tax summaries and schedules. In the left side menu, click on T1 and TP1 Returns Summary, page 1. In the summary, Jeet's federal tax return results are in purple on the left, and his provincial tax return is in pink on the right. We can see the income, deductions, and credits that U-File has entered on the corresponding lines. We can also see that the income earned before immigrating is not taxable, but it will be used to calculate certain credit and benefit payments. It shows Jeet can also deduct part of his contributions to the QPP from the employment income he earned in Quebec. The amounts on line 30,000 of the federal tax return and line 350 on the provincial tax return show that they were modified. U-File calculated the amounts and prorated the credits using Jeet's foreign income that he earned while he was a non-resident and the number of days he lived in Canada. To see the rest of the summary, click T1 and TP1 Returns Summary, page 2 in the left side menu. Newcomers are generally covered by the Quebec Prescription Drug Insurance Plan 3 months after settling in Quebec. Line 447 is 0 because they do not have to pay a premium for the months they were not covered. Jeet is not entitled to the Canada Workers Benefit, line 45,300, on the federal tax return because he didn't live in Canada for the entire year. However, he's entitled to the work premium, line 456, on the provincial income tax return. Let's review T1 Federal, page 1. We can see that Jeet's date of arrival in Canada was entered as 11-01. If we go to TP1 Quebec, page 1, we see the same date in box 18 of the Quebec income tax return. Scroll down in the left side menu to choose World Income. This is where we see Jeet's income earned in Indonesia, which we entered in the interview setup section. Now let's have a look at Mia's T1 and TP1 returns. Click on Mia's profile. There is not much information since Mia has not earned any income in Canada. Let's review the T1 Federal, page 1. Mia's date of entry in Canada is included. The same date is in box 18 of the Quebec income tax return on the TP1 Quebec, page 1. We also see Jeet's net income. In the immigration section, we left a field empty because we did not have Jeet's Canadian income. U-File has updated this information automatically using information from the tax slips we entered. Click TP1 Quebec P1 on the left side menu. We see the same date entered in box 18 of the Quebec income tax return, and we also see JEET's Canadian income. Once you finish reviewing the tax returns and confirm that the information was entered accurately, you can move to tab 5, e-file. Since this is a case study, we can't access the steps and screens used to electronically submit the tax returns to the CRA and Revenue Quebec. Details on how to electronically submit the tax returns and an overview of the tax software used by ITAVP volunteers are available in the CVITP Learning Guide under Installing the Tax Software and its Functions. A 3-part overview on the U-File CVITP software is also available. This is the end of the webinar. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you gained a better understanding of how to file tax returns for a newcomer. If you need a refresher, today's workshop and other videos are available on the ITAVP Learning Guide's video gallery. To access the Learning Guide, go to the Personalized Space for Volunteers at revenuequebec.ca/volunteers. ITAVP learning resources are for program participants. Please do not share them.